God, that movie.
So you enjoyed it, I take it?
Nope. Destruction.
You didn't enjoy that very blatant green screen?
Destruction porn.
Forgive me for my wrongs, I have just begun. Ain't no mercy, ain't no mercy. Huh. Got that purple Lamborghini lurking.
Really dreaded entertainment. My name is Akasan.
JC, something good to see you.
We're about to check out honest trailers. I'm just laughing already. X-Men Apocalypse. What did you think about that movie?
Pretty much the same that Jennifer Lawrence did. Because phoned in.
Yep.
Put it this way. It wasn't great, but it wasn't horrible.
Right.
It just was. It didn't grab me. There were some scenes like, okay, that was a cool homage to like the old comic book or that character, but I didn't feel any weight or anything from a character or two. Your heart just gonna drop.
Oh, okay.
It just felt like I was watching a large CG trailer.
Yeah. I feel that
Unfortunately,
if this movie had come out earlier in the year, it would have been accepted a little bit more. My biggest problem with honest trailers is, with X-Men Apocalypse, is just the fact that it came after Days of Future and Past. And then, on top of that, it came out a week or two after Civil War came out, actually.
yeah. So basically, it's like it's basically market murder.
Yeah, I was so burnt out, or not even burnt out. I was just on such a high from Civil War, of just how good that story was, that it was just so hard for me to go into X-Men wanting to see, like, not being able to put away Civil War and just look at it, the movie like, okay, let's see what you got, X-Men. It was just that Bryan Singer style of directing, which works in sometimes works really well. Just the timing in this particular one.
Yeah, the marketing timing was an issue, and that's because they had issues during production. Every movie goes through it. No movie is filmed perfectly, because there's no such thing. But then you also have the fact that the timing of the marketing was just bad. The hype of, just being honest, the hype of Civil War really, really underwhelmed moviegoers for X-Men, which is kind of sad because there's a lot of X-Men fans out there. Whether they are fans of DC properties, Marvel properties, doesn't matter. There are fans of X-Men because there's a little something in the X-Men franchise that people can relate to.
I agree. Well, let's take a look.
Feel like that.
Let's take a look at what Honest Trailers, Screen Junkies has to say.
I honestly think they're going to destroy this movie.
Oh, they're going. Do you think? I don't think it'll be as bad as BVS, but I'm
hoping it is, because it just felt like...
Well, let's say one can hope. Here we go.
Hope, yeah. I'm almost a big watch.
I'm not. It deserves it.
From Bryan Singer, the director who successfully launched the X-Men, left when things got bad, came back after Matthew Vaughn fixed it, and sorta tied it all together, comes the next installment in the franchise. And it's bad again. X-Men Apocalypse.
Yeah.
Strap in for the sequel to the sequel of the reboot prequel that continues the decade-hopping gimmick for no reason.
Welcome to the 80s.
As the timeline they more or less sorted out in the last movie completely craps the bed, featuring characters who haven't aged a day in 21 years, characters who have 10 years before they look like Patrick Stewart, and characters where they just said, fuck it, Hugh Jackman's gonna be in this thing whether it makes sense or not. But there's one thing this movie makes crystal clear. Deadpool is all Fox has left.
I know, right?
Right?
Forget what you know about the X-Men
that was
comics,
too.
animated
That
series, or
is my
previous
favorite cover.
movies, because so did Bryan Singer. As Cyclops is a rebel for some reason. Psylocke is an evil bodyguard.
Everything all right?
I'm fine, Psylocke.
Angel is a Russian cage fighter, and Mystique is the team leader. Wasn't she evil like one movie ago?
Get out of my head, Charles!
But hey, at least no one says Jubilee's name out loud. That's an X-Men movie tradition. All your favorite X-Men gathered together in the background of another Mystique movie.
Yes,
The villain who was proud of her blue skin is back, and now her character is the exact opposite. Because Jennifer Lawrence is super famous, and she's really tired of sitting in makeup for hours on end.
Not blue?
But she's not the only blue mutant with better things to do. Oscar Isaac's Apocalypse has arrived, and he looks terrible. Thrilled at his plan to become immortal by using the plot of the movie Cocoon, while gathering the 4 strongest mutants of his age, or just whoever he happens to bump into, as he unleashes his powers of learning. Disintegrating people with a single thought, and never using that power again. For a guy out to cleanse the world, you'd think he'd try that move more than once. Stop standing around and melt someone with your magic sand already. Ride along on this epic story of Apocalypse trying to conquer the world, and the X-Men trying to stop him. And, well, that's it. That's the whole plot right there. So if you love the X-Men movies, get ready, because this one is going through all the obligatory motions with another Wolverine origin, another Quicksilver sequence, another aborted Phoenix saga, and the old standby, Charles and Eric being friends, becoming enemies, and becoming friends again.
What do you mean you wake up to that? When you wake up to that. I feel a great swell of pity for the poor soul.
So that's on purpose.
School, looking for trouble.
Charles, your buddy there killed like millions of people this time. Maybe pick a new frenemy? Starring Ross and Rachel, Lumber Games, Blue on Blue Violence, All Filler No Thriller, the opera singer from The Fifth Element, Kid Bid, Sansa Storyline, Vegasonic Teenage Dickhead, featured extras, and it's getting
Featured
Old Man
extras.
Logan. X-Men Genesis.
Yikes.
Well, at least we can all agree the third one's the worst.
Got it.
Congratulations, you played yourself. More on his trailers. I have a pen. Oh, Apple Pen.
Ooh.
Gorilla slippers.
What's that X-Men Apocalypse after credits thing? I didn't.
That's
Wait a second.
It's the Death Star.
That line she just gave, didn't Jennifer Lawrence say the same thing in the movie as well?
What?
Like the third one's always the worst. I want to say both of them.
In what movie?
I could be wrong. X-Men. I could be wrong.
No. Only Jean Grey said it.
Okay.
Yeah.
But man, that is, yeah.
I always thought that was kind of funny. Like, I was like, but you didn't do a good one.
Yeah, because the third movie was bad.
Yeah.
And then this one would be...
Well,
and leave them alone.
okay, but see, all right.
And do it where you're not using the money specifically for special effects. You're using it for a story, making the story more grounded.
Okay.
Like Days of Future Past.
But it's the same person.
It's the same person, but it was much better than what we just had.
Yeah, but okay, see, because I think that's a little unfair
leave
to
the storylines alone.
I think that's a little
Timeline,
unfair
excuse me.
to Bryan Singer in a sense, because I feel that Bryan Singer actually does a really good job, and he actually does understand the X-Men.
And that's what I said.
Line,
Give it to someone that understands it and leave them alone. Meaning,
so you're
producers
saying,
and things.
so you're
leave
saying,
the director
okay,
and his vision alone, and let him do it.
So you're
as
saying
is.
the problem with this movie was just too many studio hands got it.
Yes, definitely, because that was one of his complaints when the movie came out.
Really?
Yeah, he actually said, I'm sorry for people not being happy with the film. I tried to bring it as close to my vision as possible, but which is understandable because that does happen. The producers are looking as how can we sell this product.
That's interesting. I didn't know
selling.
that. Okay, I didn't know it was another studio intervention because when Suicide Squad came out, we heard about studio intervention. When BVS came out, we heard about studio intervention. But when Apocalypse, I didn't hear anything.
Do we see a pattern here?
No, but what I'm saying is that usually we hear about when Ultron came out. We heard about studio intervention. I didn't hear shit about that. You know why? Actually, one of the reasons is because Singer and others were going through the rape allegations.
Yes, they were going through a little too much at the time.
Right. So
it was already getting bad press.
All right. So
that kind of makes sense. I like parts of the movie.
Yeah.
But the parts didn't feel like it was enough to carry them.
It's funny actually because watching honest trailers, just watching them pick up some of the clips and such, I was like, oh, this I don't remember this movie. Like, this movie doesn't look so bad when just showing some of the clips, but it was just something about it just didn't really, for me.
Character chemistry.
Well, okay, that's one thing. The other thing,
on the Apocalypse side.
The other thing for me was very similar. I really wasn't a big fan of First Class in some form or fashion, only because I think for me personally, I don't like many retro movies. I don't like too many flashback movies and sort of living in the past.
Period pieces.
Yeah, period pieces. And I understand what Singer was going for, but a part of me is also like, well, we got enough of that with First Class. We got enough of that with Days of Future and Past. Let's get up to present day so it can feel a little more relatable in sense. I understand why First Class was in the past, because they needed to tie together the
loose ends of the previous movie.
But not just that, but also just with First Class having to show like the appearance of mutants first arriving and just something like that. It was different. It was unique, and it also had a lot to do with Magneto's history. But I just kind of felt like, did this movie really need to be in the 90s? Like, was there anything in that movie that couldn't have been done now, right?
I would have been happy with, saying it kind of starts in the 90s to tie what happened in the end of the last movie to now to like a specific event, and then moving on from there.
Yeah.
Like in the 90s is when someone first came across Apocalypse's tomb or something, and then
that would have been actually forward. Oh, so boom,
done.
Kind of semi-arrow.
Yeah, because it's like quick exhibition.
That would have been kind of cool,
on,
actually.
How that character came to be, his backstory, and his backstory is being told through the eyes of the archaeologist.
That would have actually been somewhat kind of cool to actually have two running movies at the same time.
Yeah.
Two stories running at the same time, but flashing back, and you see where you see where something that somebody did in the past is catching up to the future now, and you see it. That would have been cleverly written,
and
actually.
Then going from that point, how do they deal with that from this point on?
Yes. That would have been kind of cool to see something like that. I mean, it would have been maybe a little more confusing because they did do flashbacks to Egypt a lot, and actually,
for that, super easy. In the 90s, when his tomb was found, that right there showing the quick flashback of who that person is, and it's showing, this is Apocalypse, this is where he started. They don't have to do that long thing they did.
It's funny that they did. Yeah, they spent a lot of time in that flashback scene.
And just wrap it up.
Yeah.
And then move from that point on, making that flashback a quarter to half of what it was.
It is kind of funny.
And they did that because, you really have to pay those actors for screen time, especially when they're doing so well.
Right. It is kind of funny because his original Horseman in Egypt, that plot was actually more interesting than anything in the present 90s time.
So for me, using the past, staying there with the Four Horsemen and telling their story, don't need the other X-Men, that would have been interesting.
I also agree with what you said about chemistry, and for me personally, from the trailers, I knew that what is her name? Jennifer Love? No, what is
Jennifer Lawrence?
Thank you, Jennifer Love Hewitt.
Very different.
Jennifer Lawrence.
Yeah.
Just she was killing the movie for me. Like, even in the trailers, I said I'm not feeling this Mystique run team. Like, why is she in this? Like, why is she running things? It was really weird.
It would have been cool if it was like an X-Men Dark movie, because then having Mystique running the team, no problem, because they're all meant to be pretty much anti-hero or villains.
So X-Force, basically.
No.
I'm not talking Cable X-Force. I'm talking
about I know.
Cyclops X-Force.
Yeah. There's a reason why I said no to that. Because having Mystique leading the Dark X-Men, so to speak, they're going up against X-Force. So then you're using more adult... So X-Force, like the Ultimate X-Force.
I've never followed the Cable X-Force. So.
Not the Cable X-Force, the Cyclops X-Force. The Cyclops X-Force and the more recent...
The Dark Ops,
Yeah. I love that because you basically get storylines that they have to
kill
kinda
people. Yeah.
turn away from in the mainstream
Right.
storylines. So they do have to deal with death and things. And I like that because then they can go full on against the Dark X-Men. And it can just be a battle between them. Super easy. Simple storyline. Need to stop that team from basically destroying all of them. Done.
Yeah. I also feel like
Because Apocalypse was underwhelming.
he really was. He
Just
was
like,
very disappointing.
just like they said,
Yeah.
watching him disintegrate 3
Yeah.
people with the power. So why didn't he do that with the rest of the X-Men?
He just reminded me of a very creepy ass old pervert. Like he was just always touching people, and he was like, "Let me release your special thing out from
your
inside
special
of
ability."
you." Yeah,
What is the villain from Power Rangers, the first one?
Lord Zed. No,
No,
you're
no,
talking
no,
about
no, no.
Ivan Ooze.
Yes. I kid you not, someone made a comment and put up a meme
Everybody
online,
was
and
saying
it's
that.
like, damn, he really does.
Everybody was saying
He
that.
looks exactly like him.
Yeah.
He just looks like he's
And the
not as funny.
the disappointing thing. I wish I could show you the poster. Like
Ivan News was more convincing.
No. The actual X-Men poster, there was a Japanese one that was released that was showing Apocalypse doing the Shakespearean thing, holding a skull in his hands. And it actually looked really damn
cool.
good. But it was more gray tone, grayscale. And I'm like, okay.
And that's closer to Apocalypse.
Right, but I was like, when I saw the production one, I was like, okay, they're going to fix this up. It doesn't look as bad. And then when I saw the movie posters, I'm like, oh shit, he looks really intimidating.
Right.
Then later, I was like, what the fuck? They didn't clean it up. Like,
He looks like a pushover.
It was bad.
Yeah.
It was bad. And then they made it even worse, just having him going through the streets of Egypt, getting punked on by regular people. Like,
Yeah.
it was just,
And not just that, but my favorite part is their homage to Transformers. Think about it. You got Magneto standing above basically the city,
Yeah.
and you've got this huge
Yeah,
globe
access
of garbage
thing going,
going
yeah,
around
yeah.
them. It's the exact same thing that happened in Transformers, and you can't get to them because as soon as you send something, it gets reverted back. It's like, wow, that's so bad. Wait, did that also happen in
Transformers.
Suicide Squad?
Oh shit. The ball of crap everywhere.
Yeah, it's like, look, you're not Avatar.
The one,
Stop
okay. The
using
one thing I will point out that well, there's two things on his trailers was kind of took shots at, unnecessary shots. As was the dialogue situation between the professor and
Yeah, that's on purpose. That
was on
I
pur-
agree with
like
you.
I
That didn't
at
bug me
first
at all.
I was that annoyed me in the beginning when I saw the trailer, but the Red Dreaded Nation that kind of let me know that like I didn't know that Days of Future and Past was resetting the timeline.
Yeah.
I just took it as is, and I didn't know that they were basically the next movie afterwards was going to be them retelling all the other movies. So
Yeah.
I didn't catch that. So when I saw the trailer for Apocalypse, I'm like, why are they recycling the same old lines? And then someone let me know, well, it's supposed to be a retelling of X-Men 2,
Right.
kind of. But the other one was the, God damn it, the Old Man Logan thing.
Yeah, it's getting old, Logan.
It's getting, like, I know what they're saying, and I don't...
Retelling his
with,
origin
with
wasn't
all with all the
necessary.
CG that they were doing in that movie, I don't understand why they didn't clean his face up, Hugh Jackman's face up, to make him look younger. They did it in, God damn, they did it in Wolverine's movie, made the professor look really young.
Look how good those movies were.
But I'm just saying, like, if they're gonna go for like you gotta show a younger Logan then if you're gonna do everybody else this particular way. And there was something else. There was another point I was saying about the points that Honest Trailers was making.
So you got Logan.
Got Logan. It was something else that they were saying about the dialogue. It was one other point they were saying that I was
Angel
like,
being Russian.
nah, this point.
That's something that
these
bothered me
little
in the
things. Oh really?
He's not Russian.
These
British.
little okay, little changes like that. I was like, okay.
I can deal with little changes, but like they are giving us characters and then not using them. They are absolutely pointless.
Yeah, like X3. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like why?
I really felt.
Jubilee. What are you there for? To just wear like a yellow raincoat?
That's what it was. The Phoenix thing. Like they were saying, like how the plot was. But I feel, unlike X3, I feel like with this particular movie, they were just peeking into
A
the
potential
Phoenix
storyline
saga. Like we saw it a little bit. I I agree that they went a little too overboard with it in Apocalypse. Like, they didn't have to do all of that much.
No.
They could have just showed her powers pushing in a little bit more to bring it in more, but I feel like it wasn't going full-blown like X3. I still felt like X-Men Apocalypse was trying to stay along the same lines as X2 in terms of Jean Grey, with the whole getting pushed to the limit. She didn't die.
And can't control it.
Right, but you kind of see the Phoenix is still there, around there. So I still think there's still story to tell with Phoenix. So
here's an idea. This movie, another way they could have just done everything, but better.
Yeah.
Go into the storyline of the Dark Phoenix.
Yeah.
But before you go into the story of the Dark Phoenix, you're introducing the idea of Apocalypse, exactly how we said.
Yeah.
But instead of having that character as the main villain, you're introducing him as the potential villain for the next movie.
Oh.
But upon finding him, there's something that helps unlock Jean Grey's potential. She can't control it. And then you're dealing with Jean Grey coming to grips with this power she can control, and everyone around her trying to cope with the relationships that they have with her, relationship they have with her as a team member, and then is she safe to be out in the field or not to be out in the field?
Though, okay, I agree with you on that point. The only problem here is the fact that with the whole thing about the Phoenix Saga, and even in the comics, is the fact that people really loved Jean Grey.
Yeah.
Like, they grew, it's very similar as, it's like killing Gwen Stacy without knowing who the fuck is this woman.
But that's why I'm saying they could have done this instead, because then they could have involved Jean Grey in the story to where
but I don't think
it would make it more interesting.
I agree, but I don't think Sansa, whatever her name is, has the time or the ability to really build you loving Jean Grey. Like, if they're going to go to dark side, I see where they're going here a little bit.
We need to get used to her.
We need to slowly be introduced into Jean Grey.
But that's the beauty of having the other characters there to support her, because that gives us a chance to spend more time with the core members of the team usually aren't there.
Okay, I will give it to you. There is a point in terms of the fact that we were able to. But that's a little different. I was going to say we were able to build a relationship with Rogue in the first X-Men movie. So when her hair turned white, I heard a lot of people actually kind of feel bad for her, and
because her scenes got cut.
What?
Her scenes.
No. I'm talking about in the first X-Men movie.
Oh, in the first X-Men,
when Magneto, the power is transferred,
and her
hair starts growing. People really felt bad for her because we spent the entire time through the movie with her. So maybe that's what we needed a little bit more.
Doing the exact same thing with Jean Grey would have been awesome, because we get to see from Jean Grey's perspective instead of Wolverine's or Cyclops all the time.
Who did we follow in that movie? I think Apocalypse, right?
We
followed Apocalypse in the beginning.
Coin toss between Apocalypse and Charles Xavier.
Right.
Because again, they're rushing around trying to figure things out so they could stop Charles Xavier. But before we even get to Charles Xavier, it's through Mystique, who's basically going around the world finding mutants to say, hey, look, we need to live life better because I was wrong. Okay, you realize what you were doing was wrong before. That's fine.
I will say...
But then it just went flat.
I will say that as much as I respect Singer and what he's done, like, I feel that his style is not really meant for comic book movies anymore. It's very similar in a sense that if Nolan were to come back and start doing comic book movies or something,
awesome.
It could be awesome, but so much has changed, and the perception of the way we see things has changed. It may not work exactly.
I think it could work. It just depends on the character.
Okay.
Example. Could you imagine Bryan Singer doing a more grounded storyline for a character as opposed to a team of characters?
Yes.
And if so, who? And then on the opposite side, Nolan. I could see Nolan doing an Arrow movie and it being absolutely awesome, because you don't have to deal with superpowered beings.
Yes.
You can introduce them, but you don't have to have them there. And his style is actually more grounded, more realistic. So filming it pretty much the same way he did with the Dark Knight series would be amazing, because you're dealing with real life things.
It would be very similar, but
but it would still look cool, because the way he films things and it's like the conversations between characters,
Yeah.
just the way he does the scenes, it looks awesome.
Would you say then, in concluding this, do you think are you excited for the next X-Men movie? Because my takeaway, because of X-Men Apocalypse, because I think people are already feeling this. After Days of Future and Past, people loved it, but when they started seeing the trailers for Apocalypse, it was kind of just like, okay, I guess I'll check it out type of deal. Especially because it came out the same year as Civil War, Batman v Superman. I think Days of Future and Past actually got really lucky because it came out on an off year when there wasn't like
Where
Dark Knight Rises,
production.
Man of Steel. There was a gap. It was its year basically.
I think marketing wise, the best thing it can do is come out early spring.
Okay.
Early spring or mid fall. And the reason I say this is because usually early spring is when you have your decently budgeted production movies, but they don't have to worry about marketing because there's nothing really out there because everyone's putting all their bank on the summer.
You're right about that. It's very similar to Deadpool. If Deadpool had come out during the summer, people would not have rushed to
because then they'd be competing with Civil War, and as much as we may enjoy Deadpool, there's no way it would have competed with it because the timing just would have been all off. Coming out in spring, mid-fall, better.
Yeah.
And yes, I can get excited for another X-Men movie.
A February X-Men movie would be fine with me.
March.
Well, Deadpool came out in February.
Yeah, March. February, it's not good because you're dealing with other movies. They're just test movies.
Yeah, but
marketing-wise would be better in March.
But BVS came out in March.
By the time the Blu-ray and things come out, then it's time for another Marvel movie. Okay. And there's a little bit of a gap.
Okay. I'm fine with March. It's just that I know Warner is all over that as well. So you can't have X-Men competing with Wonder Woman. Like Wonder Woman would crush an X-Men movie.
Yeah, it's true, but it also helps fans get the chance to see something else in the movie theater.
I get it. My main thing is that X-Men is just, at this point in time, X-Men is just warm-up movies. It's the opening act at this point. It's not anything I would rush to go see at this point, unfortunately.
If they do another X-Men, which I'm hoping they still continue to do, they should focus more on a single person or three.
Right. That's not Charles Xavier, that's not Wolverine, that's not Magneto.
Yeah, because
I agree with you.
As entertaining as they may be and as much as we like those actors,
they can't
story-wise...
They're not holding the rest of the team down, basically. He has a very good point about that, is that you're going to need someone, like somewhat what Rogue kind of did for the original story, was you need someone who's going to help you give a shit about that team. Because I really didn't care about anybody in this X-Men
No, and even in Days in Future Past, Rogue's scenes got cut.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, well, how about this? Have Jean Grey,
really weird,
have Jean Grey and Rogue be your two main focus points and Jubilee, because she never gets
that is really interesting.
Anything.
Yeah.
Have those be your 2 or 3 focal points for the next movie, and have the story flesh from them.
Red Red Nation, stand up, speak up. Let us know what you guys think. The old team or the new team? That's a really good point. Like I really don't care about the new team at all. Like I appreciate
you don't feel drawn to them.
Right. I appreciated the nods to the comics that kept on showing up. I saw like even the covers, the Japanese posters look like comic book covers,
which was pretty cool.
I just didn't have that feeling. I love me some Asians, and I thought it was nice for them to do the whole Psylocke thing.
Yes,
but she just
I have to say you did a fantastic job.
Yeah, but I just felt like they didn't use her so much, like the same way. Like
she was basically there to supports for the main character who didn't do anything.
Yeah. All right, guys, we're out. Peace.
All my friends are heathens, take it slow.